Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Rant Bollox. We're on the final episode here of Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 6, The Iron Throne. This was the most watched episode of all time for HBO. They're super fucking happy, but the fans are not.
That's right. We speak for everybody. Everybody we speak for. Actually, I don't know. You might like it. I don't think you do, but you surprise me sometimes.
Last episode broke me in half. So it's been one of those, and the one thing I'll say is that the entire season, yes, I know it's been negative, but I have been tuning in right on 9 o'clock, and waiting for it, and especially that first season, episode 1 for the season 6 or season 8, sorry, was I just remember there was, like I said, there was a lightning storm. I thought the power was going to go out, and I was like, I need to watch this. Like, I'll just log on to my LTE if I need to. I was so excited. I've never been that excited before. And I guess as the episodes went on, the excitement kind of dwindled down a little. So this last one, yes, I wanted to see. It was an epic kind of finale. They had an hour and 20-minute episode, but I don't know. I wasn't as excited as I probably thought I would have been, and I don't know how many episodes there's been, because in the other seasons, what is it, like 15 or something in each one?
No, it's usually 10, isn't it?
Okay. Oh, I thought some of them were maybe a little more, but anyway, there's been a heck of a lot building up to this, and yeah, it's just been dwindling down. And we had some predictions from the last podcast, the last episode 1. But yeah, I'll just jump straight into it, man. What were you thinking? What were your thoughts?
I think it lived down to expectations.
It lived down.
Well, it was sort of... It's the last episode, but I think by the time you get here, you're either going to be, like you said, broken like we were, or you're going to be thinking, this is the greatest show ever, and everything they do is going to be great. It's like...
yeah.
It's like before we went to see Endgame. It's like it could be 3 hours of black screen and we're gonna love it just because we're such fans and we're so excited and we're just crying whatever happens. Like, oh, he picked up a shield. Oh my god! And I think for a lot of fans, like, well, look at that shot's great, and there's Grey Worm, and here's this moment and this moment. There's the dire wolf is back for the last moment, and it's like, okay. You get all this like fan service kind of stuff.
Sure, yeah.
But for me, I was already broken after episode 4.
Yeah.
You broke at 5.
Well, you broke at 3 because 3 was Winterfell with the Night King.
Yeah. 3 was where I was like, this could break me unless they do something great in 4.
Sure,
and they didn't.
Sure.
And in 4, I just snapped. I'm like, nope, you screwed it. Anyway, the point is we got to like where we were at the end of 5. And I think watching the finale was just something you had to do at this point for a lot of people. Like for me, it was just, I have to watch this so I can say I watched it.
Of course.
But it was like, I didn't expect there to be some great redemption. Like you have 5 episodes that just didn't live up to expectations. The 6th one's not suddenly going to do something incredible. And that was it. But it was just an episode. It was just like, if it was any other season, you'd be like, okay. But now you're like, that's it. That's what you did. Okay, great. And I want to say this real quick, as I listened to last week's episode I can't remember why, but I was listening to us yammer on. I'm like, I swear a lot. So I'm going to try real hard not to be a foul-mouthed reviewer. So we're family friendly this week out.
Well,
but I can tell you after that episode, yeah. That's really fucking hard.
I feel like it's hard not to when they've kind of gone so to the side on this whole season. They've really gone off the rails. And like you said, it's the final season. It's the final episode. Everyone's going to tune in anyway. And they did hit some of those marks where Arya was going off and doing her own little thing, and Sansa became queen, and fuck, we'll talk about Bran later on. But everyone kind of got their things. But yeah, it was just an episode, and to be a finale of something as epic as Game of Thrones, it was really just another episode, and it was a bit of a slow one as well. So
yeah, I think the moment Spoilers, everybody. Why do I have to say spoilers? No one's listening to our channel expecting us to be decent at this. It's spoilers out the gate. When Dany gets killed, that's the end of the show. Like, that's it. Everything else after that is the Lord of the Rings, Return of the King montage. And it feels very... It's like episode 5 was a handbrake turn to the left, where it's just like, okay, she's insane. We didn't build this up, but that's where we're going. And this one just felt like a handbrake turn to the right. It's like, everything turns out okay. Everybody's happy. Look, Bronn's on the council, and Arya's great, and Jon gets to ride off with the wildlings to the north. And it's like the tone flips the moment he stabs her, and everything after that, you're kind of just like, I'm absorbing it, but I have no emotional reaction to what's happening. Like, the dragon burns the thing, and the Drogon's little moment was like nice with his mother's dead, but everything after that, I just had no emotional connection to at all.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even feel
shitty, like, for the finale.
Of course. I didn't even feel the connection when Jon stabbed her either. Like, I wasn't like shocked or anything. I was a little bit confused how the dragon wanted to burn the throne. As in, like, I don't know. I felt that was a bit odd. He was just like, right, well, no one can have it then. But it's like, are you really that smart? You know?
Yeah. And there's like a lot of stuff that would have worked on a level, but they're not good enough writers that they've earned the right to start being that kind of deep and subtextual and everything. Just feels like a thing they thought would be cool. It's like, oh, Drogon destroys the throne. Get it? Get the subtext? It's like, you guys don't write like that. You're not that good.
Yeah. That's a very good point. The other thing is the death as well. I know it was more of a personal one, but again, it was just them two. And I know I mentioned it on the last episode. It was like there was 3 deaths, and it was just 2 people, like, you know, Jaime and Cersei, and then it was just the Hound and the Mountain, and there was another one as well. But it's just like they just like doing these deaths where it's just like, oh, just keep these 2 people in a room, and we'll sort them out there, you know. And then Drogon just like taking Cersei, taking Dany away. And then, yeah, like you said, right after that, the rest of the episode was just kind of soulless in a way. It was just...
I will say this. Yeah. I'll give a great compliment to... I've forgotten his name. Peter Dinklage, who plays Tyrion. Yeah. He was standout in this episode.
He really was, actually. He was great.
He had a lot of great scenes, and what I will say is the most impressive thing is he had to do a lot with very little. Like, there were some things in there you're just like, okay, so he's trying to sell this speech about Bran being the savior. Okay, Tyrion can do it. He's great. And again, there was like little moments I'm watching, and I'm trying to pull anything out of it. Like, everyone sees that final scene where he's rearranging the chairs, and then like he's setting it up, and everyone's like, really, this is the final thing? And then in my head, I'm like, okay, there's a subtext here is that he's trying to organize the world. He's trying to set up the world the way it's going to be. And like, I shouldn't be doing that mid-scene.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I shouldn't be trying so hard to get something from it.
Yeah. That was...
And it's... Yeah. It's weird that we're both talking about it. We don't hate it, don't love it. It was just... It happened. It's over. That's it.
It was just blah.
You know what I mean?
It was just blah. It was, like, I'm not going to get angry about it and swear about it. We'll probably will later on. But yeah, it was just a blah episode. But you shouldn't have a blah episode for your finale. Like, I remember watching the finale of, like, say, Breaking Bad or Dexter or something, or The Wire, you know, and you're on the edge of your seat kind of thing. This one, it's just like... Yeah, you can argue that like episode 3 and 5 did all of that, but no, it's like this one you should still get the feels. You should still get like maybe some goosebumps or something, but nothing, you know. I will say that I do agree with you with Tyrion. I thought he did an awesome job, and throughout the whole series, he's been great. And I know he's a lot of people's favorite character. And one of my favorite scenes was him sitting down at his dad's chair. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Right. Yeah. I also liked... Well, I didn't like it, but I did like it. Was this episode was written and shot and edited and special effects are all put in. They didn't make this episode as a reaction to last week's episode. But a lot of the dialogue between Jon and Tyrion And then Jon, getting back up and seeing Tormund and seeing his, Shadow, and like all of that. The writers and the showrunners, Benioff and Weiss, they're kind of like, oh, none of that's going to happen and blah, blah, blah. And they kind of act like they hadn't already expected a backlash. Like, it felt like they were just being dickheads sometimes in their interviews, being like, oh, yeah, we didn't have enough money for the direwolves, so they're out of it. But the direwolves in the fucking finale.
I know, I was thinking the same thing, actually. I had to double check my fact, but it was still on there. People are still saying the same thing, like they ran out of money for that episode or budget for that particular one.
Like, if I'm going to put it in context, for me, this episode made me feel like Tyrion at the start, walking through the flames and shit. It's like the whole season has been a fucking disaster, and now it's like over and done with. And this episode is kind of just, things are quiet. There's nothing left to happen. There's no great fucking reveals or twists or anything going to happen. It's just like, let's just walk through this disaster zone and see what's at the end of it. That's kind of how I felt.
I gotta say, that is a perfect way of putting it. And I think we've got to do it for the video of this. Is we'll do that scene of him walking through, but we'll just, where the text is kind of next to them, and we'll just say like Game of Thrones fans after the season finale, like their reaction. We'll put it in. We'll make it happen. So just like you made the 8-hour Bran log fire, which was epic.
I made that in real time. It took me 8 hours of editing.
I'll be putting that on at Christmas. I'll be putting that on at Christmas for sure.
It's very relaxing because, as everybody knows, segue, Bran's the king.
And what was your thoughts on that?
It comes out of, like, it's almost like they found the most jokey, stupid thing and did that.
Right.
And it's logical, but again, it's rushed. It doesn't seem to come out of anywhere of any kind of emotional satisfaction. There's no catharsis. That's the thing with this season. It's like the final season of a show is when the bad guys get their comeuppance, the good guys win, or the reverse happens, and you get an insight into how the world really is. And if you take that away from an audience, you got to question, what's your point in telling a story?
Right.
And one of the things that with this whole season is that everyone talks about it's based on George R.R. Martin's books, and the last 2 seasons have been based on his outline for the thing. Now, I can go off on a huge, big, long spiel about how the writers for the show versus the way George R.R. Martin writes are very different in their approach. Plus, he's good at what he does and they are not. So that's one big thing. But what I'm getting at is just that even though he might have said to them, Daenerys goes crazy, Bran's the king, Jon doesn't do shit, he might have said that, he might not. We won't know till his books come out. The way they got to those places was just terrible.
Yes.
It just doesn't work. So, like, you have Bran becoming the king. That could work. I think I made the joke last week or the week before that, oh yeah, somebody else posted it. It was Boat posted it in the comments again. Thanks everyone for our comments. I always got to shout out to our great people who give us comments. I got another one coming up in my head. Don't let me forget that, Al. But G Boat put a comment up about how I told you all the crows were always around.
Right.
For all the major things. Bran might have gone through time and either consciously or by mistake, like he did with Hodor, screwed up things to the point where he becomes the king. So maybe he's like an evil supervillain, or he's trying to do the right thing and he keeps getting it wrong until the final moments where he actually manipulates everything so he becomes the king. That could have been a great storyline. That might be the storyline George R.R. Martin's going with. And we don't have that. What we have is Bran looks at people. Bran doesn't say anything. Bran doesn't give them any advice except that the Night King knows where he is at all times. During the long night when the Night King is coming to kill every living thing in the universe, Bran pisses off into a crow and then disappears while Theon's getting killed and doesn't do anything. And we never find out where he went or what he's doing.
Yeah.
And now he's king. Like it's one of those things where you kind of know that was what George R. R. Martin said to them, but they just ballsed it up with how they got there and what they showed.
Well, they totally did, because I know that we were expecting more from him, and he was just the way they wrote his story, he was just like an asshole in a chair, and he wasn't doing anything. He was maybe he was gorging into a crow here and there. I love, like what you said, that maybe he was looking through all these crows all the time, and he's the keeper of the secrets, and he knows everything about the realm, and that's what they said. Like, they were like, there's no one better to be king because he knows all the history. But it's like, you have to use your imagination, and the actual writers didn't really kind of show us that. They should have shown us more from Bran because of that, you know?
And even if they, like, I saw that real quick. I just saw that scene where he becomes king, and I had this, like, jump ahead vision that the end of the episode is going to be Bran explaining to somebody like Jon or like Tyrion that it was his plan all along. And you'll have this like 5-minute flashback of all 8 seasons of him being like, I did this and I did that and I was here and I did this and that is where we are. And I'm sorry that so much bad things had to happen, but that's the way it is.
That's interesting. Yeah. I haven't actually thought about how they could have made that episode or the ending better. But yeah, that's awesome.
Well, even Bran's like coronation, that just it's kind of got it's got nuggets in it, like little gold nuggets in it, but covered in giant horse shit. And you gotta really squint and not pay attention to the shit and look at the gold and be like, oh yeah, I get it. Bran could be king. You got to ignore that Grey Worm doesn't kill Jon straight away. He doesn't kill Tyrion. That he brings Tyrion to this, I don't know, Council of Lords, you know, the fucking Council of Elrond. I'm swearing again, it's happening. You get into this and it's just like the whole 8 seasons, 10 years of stuff is all these people fighting and all these alliances and how are you going to make things together. And by the end of it, Cersei's dead. The Lannisters are dead. All the bad guys are dead. And when the Queen Daenerys gets killed, the Unsullied, who have no connection to anybody, they're just going to back off and be like, we're going to occupy the city, even though the city's got nobody in it and it's burnt to the ground. And the what are they called? The guys on horses. Oh, help me. I was going to call them the Drogons.
As soon as you said that, I knew who you meant.
Yeah.
Why can't I remember? Yeah, I know.
The Dothraki. There we go.
Dothraki.
Yeah, so the Dothraki and the Unsullied, their queen is dead. They're going to stay in Westeros. They're going to stay occupied, surrounded, and under siege, and not kill these guys. Even though the last moment we saw Grey Worm, he was slicing people's throat in the streets.
I know, and then
unarmed men for no reason, and then next thing we see, he's like, oh, blah blah blah. And it's like around all of that, you've got Sansa just says, yeah, I'm not going to be part of your kingdom now that 6 kingdoms. Bran's like, okay, I'm Bran the Broken. That's a bit of an insult to me. He could have just said Bran the Wise or something, but whatever. It's just, it's like I said though, there's nuggets in there, but it's just covered in this Hollywoodized nonsense that doesn't make sense. From the fact that the last episode, the very last episode we just saw, she's burning down the city. The next episode is maybe an hour after that happens, and the place is getting covered in snow. And then it's back to sunshine a couple of weeks later. And it's even like things like that just bug me. I'm like, what you just wanted snow in the scene where she walks into the throne room because it matches the vision of her in season 4.
Of course, it's a visual thing.
And yeah, like visually there's nice moments in it. I think this was the first episode the writers directed. But for me, that's the whole season. It all the things that seem like they work, I have a feeling are connected to George Martin's book or his vision.
Yep.
And they just didn't make it happen. And it's kind of like he said, this is where the train has to go. And they're like, sure thing. And they just ballsed up the track and then it went off the rails in an hour at this finish line.
100%. It's like those gold nuggets you mentioned. Like that's his key points they wanted him to hit. They were like, you need to make this happen, but you can tell the story in between. But they only had 6 episodes to do that, so they rushed it, and this episode felt like a rushed episode as well. And of course it did, because it had so much to wrap up as well. And I think like the first 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes was just like super slow, and it was just all the aftermath from the dragon and everything. So I was looking at my watch, and I'm like, you guys have got under an hour to wrap this up, and you still, like, Jon hasn't even seen Dany yet, you know? And it was just like, it was really going quite slow. And then suddenly they jump to the scene where Grey Worm's bringing Tyrion to the council, you know? And you can, and it's just like, yeah, fast forward time. We need to get this, tick this off, you know? So
I was waiting for the end game thing of like 5 years later, or like 6 weeks later, something to come up.
I guess
like, they've gone full Hollywood.
Yeah, for that they were showing, I guess it's Tyrion's beard was a bit longer. Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
But
he's got a full beard.
One thing I thought it was quite funny, which was awful but funny, was when you saw his hand under the rubble. I thought we were going to get like a Shredder moment where his hand like comes out, you know. But I like, whenever we were watching some of the other episodes, we were always kind of predicting what was going to happen. And I know from chatting to a lot of people, there was a few saying, are they still alive, Jaime and Cersei? And most people were like, no, they just got covered in fucking bricks. But there's a photo trending online, because Tyrion walks in there to find them, and you could see all the rubble, but then to the right of them, there's none. So everyone's just like, if they just stood 3 steps to the right, they would have been fine. You know, it's quite funny. And then the other thing I thought was quite funny, I just wanted to bring it up, is they found a fucking water bottle, you know, on the council at the end. There's a water bottle.
I saw that, yeah, under someone's chair.
Come on, people. You know, like, what's going on here? Quality control, you know? But
here's something that I was hoping was that it would get back to the idea of the books and this breaking the wheel thing. And it seems like there was a subtext in it, but like I read this great article, it's on Scientific America, and it explains in a way that I hadn't really thought about it, why the show has gone the way it has, and why the books and the original 6 seasons versus the final 2 don't work. And it's basically comes down to the way George R.R. Martin's books are worked, is that you have people, complex characters, they make decisions based on what they want, even though the world around them might not agree with it. So that's the way the world works nowadays with us. It's like, sure, this might be happening around the world, but, you know, I want to do this. But the real power behind his storytelling is that it's a world view of a story. It's that, okay, you can kill Ned Stark. That doesn't stop the wheel turning. It doesn't stop the society. It doesn't stop the flow of history. And it's this idea that even though everyone's playing for the Game of Thrones, everybody's kind of trying to make their decisions and get through in life, is that the systems and the institutions always kind of grind people back to the same starting point.
Right.
And then, of course, Daenerys comes in, and her idea is to be the woman who breaks the wheel and starts a new idea. And it's like, are they going to get to the point of the democracy, which was laughed at by the council? You know, it was a moment with Sam, and then there was the idea that she could be a good ruler, but how can you be a good ruler? And then it's like she tries to be a good ruler and fails and becomes mad because she can't get out of the system. And all of this is kind of worked into the books, and it's like layered into the first 6 seasons. You know, Ned Stark gets killed. Robb Stark takes over. Robb Stark gets killed. Jon takes over. Jon doesn't work. Arya. It's like families and the Game of Thrones. It just keeps rolling along. No one's ever going to win it. The game is the only thing that wins. But when you get to season 7 and 8, and they don't have the books to fall back on for that huge amount of nuance and layers and world view, they go to the Hollywood version, which is, what does a person do? The psychological view. How does someone make a decision? And because of that, it's why after season 6, and everybody knows this, all the main characters are fine. You know they're never going to die, because in Hollywood, stories are always told through the character. They're not told through this big world view of the picture.
Right.
So you can't kill Dany because we're emotionally invested in her. You can't kill Tyrion because he's going to make a decision. And you're trying to create heroes out of characters.
Yes, yeah.
Whereas the whole point of Game of Thrones is that you can try and be a hero, you can try and be a villain, but at the end of the day, the world is going to keep turning. And it's like, how do you react to the fact that you're always going to be bouncing off your environment? You're never going to get to the point where you can control everything.
Yeah. I will
and
say,
I think if you continue that, just real quick to end it, if you continue that thread, then you can see us getting to this finish line of Daenerys cracks and just goes insane because she can't change the wheel. Or you get to the point where Bran is in control because he's the one guy outside of the wheel. He's no longer emotionally connected to what's happening. He doesn't care what happens. He doesn't want to be powerful.
It's very,
it's a very clear break. And I read that article, and like I said, it's Scientific America. It's not like some idiot in a basement like me. It's like really well laid out. And to me, I'm like, that's it. That's the key thing why it doesn't feel like Game of Thrones after season 7.
It's very interesting, because the one thing I would say was with Game of Thrones is that it's quite surprising with some of the deaths, and they were taking risks earlier on as well. And I know you mentioned that I think it was season 6, like you knew these people were locked in and they were going to get all the way through to the end. And I think that's what people were expecting. They were expecting more risks out of season 7 and 8 as well, and they were just playing it safe. And obviously they had the books to follow, but they just, to tell that story in between was just so dull and boring and rushed as well. But I'll have to check out that article. It sounds very cool.
Yeah, I think it boils down to it's for me also when I'm looking at it now and I hear people, like we always say, if you like this season, I'm not going to take that away from you. I'm not going to start a fight with you online. Like what you like. I don't care. I don't like it. Here's the reasons I don't like it. If we want to have a discussion, we can have a discussion. It's like everything we always do. We don't like Batman, Superman. Here's the reasons why.
Of course, yeah.
We can have a conversation on that. But I think a lot of it comes down to the people who loved the first 6 seasons loved it because it wasn't like your typical shows. It wasn't about a guy going out into the world and he's becoming a hero or he's changing things. It was sort of like the world is always going to be there. There's always a bigger picture and it's going to keep turning. It's going to keep changing. How do you break the systems? How do you make a new world? The people who like stories which are focused on an individual's journey, which are focused on Jon falling in love and Jon doing the right thing and Tyrion trying to become a better man, they're going to like 7 and 8.
Right.
And the rest of us are going to be like, I don't dislike those stories, but I didn't get on board this show because of that type of story.
Of course, yeah. And I think you're going to find the majority of people disliking series, well, particularly this one as well, just because it like we said, it went off the tracks for sure. And I think IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes all tells the same kind of story as well as how we're feeling. But of course, there's good bits and bad bits. But I think the majority of people are feeling a little bit negative about it. And I know there's been petitions, which I don't think anything will ever come of. But,
no, I think that guy only started it for a joke, and then it just took off.
Of course, yeah, and also like as crappy a writing it's been, it's done. It's over. There's other shows to watch now, but there's no rewriting it or anything like that. I can see someone maybe doing. Did you ever see the trailer for Bel-Air? Someone remade Bel-Air, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, the Fresh Prince, yeah.
Extremely
someone will
good.
do that for sure.
Yeah, someone will do like a trailer type thing and tell some of those stories a little better, but I don't think anything will come out of it big like that. One last thing for me is because honestly, coming into this review, I was like, oh yeah, we could talk about this and that, but I said at the beginning, for me, this was a very blah episode. It was a very kind of, a few things happen here and there, sure, but I'm kind of just done with it. I'm sad that it's ended on this note, but I will remember seasons 1 to 7 for sure, with great praise as well. And I'll rewatch them eventually. I was going to say rewatch them with my son, but I think I'll wait until he's much, much older. But what was the thing? Yeah, so there was when they were all around the table at the end, and Tyrion was sitting on his dad's chair, and they were all these characters that we've come to love. I was expecting that moment to be goosebump moment on my arms and kind of be like, yes, this is this is cool. This is a nice finish. But I just felt empty. I felt like it wasn't working, and I don't know. There was just something odd about it, and that just kind of sums up like season 8. Really, it just it was rushed. I keep saying rushed, but I was expecting myself to really like that moment once everyone took their seats and Bran was wheeled in. But it felt a little awkward as well. But that's unfortunately.
It feels like one of those moments that they, like I said, it sort of makes sense, and then you think about it, and you're like, what? Why is Bronn there?
I know.
Like, he's the guy of Highgarden, but is there any reason people wouldn't just kill him? I don't know.
Yeah, that was weird. And then the last one was, what I did like is Jon going back to the Night's Watch, but I liked him kind of going beyond the wall. Obviously, Tormund, his best buddy, his broski, and then Ghost. We got to see him with Ghost again, so that was nice. And then them just going beyond the wall.
Ghost, that's it, not Shadow. So, Shadow's the other one.
Yeah, and I like them going beyond the wall because now the Night King's gone. What's out there, and they can explore. I guess Arya's doing her exploring. I couldn't help but think with Arya doing her exploring, Jon doing his, that they're like, is there just do people want to see like these side stories, maybe like mini series of them or something? But I don't know I know they're doing this prequel first, but I can see some people getting on board with like Arya and maybe following Arya as a series.
Yeah, because she goes off and finds, I don't know,
whatever they want.
Tolkien's really. Land or something, Middle Earth. I don't know what she's gonna find.
Middle Earth, that would be hilarious.
What's west of Westeros? Middle Earth. She goes off and she becomes, I don't know. a Hobbit, the start of the Hobbits or something.
I'll add in some more funny as well, by the way. I found Game of Thrones Oreos, and on the back of each Oreo, like the actual cookie, is each house mark. So like as I was eating them, like I got like 5 Starks in a row. I'm like, this is going to end well for the Starks. It's got to.
It did turn into like this montage of look how great everything turns out, which again isn't a bad thing, and it's not like I want everybody to die and be miserable, but the show that they created and the show that we got in this final season are not the same beast. They don't meld.
No, not at all.
I mean, in case everyone's thinking, you're just shitting on episode 6. Episode 5 had Daenerys Targaryen burning women and children alive. And then in this episode, it's like, Bran's the king. Everything's great. It's like, what? What the hell happened there?
Big ass jump.
And even, it's just this weird thing. It's like, he stabbed her. Everything's good. It's like, okay. And even like, if we're going to get into the more complaints about it, that whole Daenerys thing was not addressed. It just wasn't. Like, Tyrion and Jon have an argument, which sounds like the kind of arguments fans were having of like, she goes everywhere and kills evil men and we cheer for her.
Sure.
And it's like, yeah, she goes everywhere and kills evil men and we cheer for her because they're evil men. She doesn't go and kill children and women and children, that connection and all that. And we went over this after episode 5. And then Jon's kind of put in this weird character placement where it's not really Jon Snow, where he's like, well, she's been under a lot of pressure lately, and she's had a tough time, and it's a real dangerous place, and her friend's head got cut off. And it's like, that's not Jon. Jon is a guy who's like, you just killed a bunch of people. That's not good.
Yeah.
Like hardcore, like, and it's also probably an issue with like their relationship was never believable to the point that he would do that.
It definitely wasn't. Their relationship was definitely lacking, and this entire season he was a pussy basically.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a reason to exist now. Why was he brought back from the dead? He doesn't. Was it to kill Daenerys? Because like cards on the table, everybody in Westeros wanted to kill her after that point, so she wasn't going to last long.
Well,
Arya was just going to get in there and stab her.
the other thing was his Jon's origins and all the secrets and Sansa knowing, and that was all bullshit in the end as well. Like I they were maybe trying to create mystery there and getting fans thinking what's going to happen, but they just threw it out the window as well.
Yeah, from scene to scene, like with Grey Worm, like scene to scene, characters change who they are because they have to be for that particular scene. And for me, you get to this weird zone of you're just trying to do moments at this point. You're not telling a story anymore. And like, that's what I mean of they kind of have this blueprint of what's supposed to happen. And it's only in episode 6 of season 8 at the very end of it. They're like, Bran's king. Like, what? What are you talking about? It wasn't even in season 5.
Yeah.
What? And that's part of like, okay, the writers didn't know what to do with Bran and such, but all of Bran's storyline is bleh. It just doesn't work anymore because they dropped the whole three-eyed raven thing. They dropped the original people and the Night King's origin, and what was the Night King actually after? Why was he doing this? And he got stabbed, he's dead, he's over, it's done, good night. Yeah, Jon didn't have anything to do with it. The one, was it the Lord of Light, has nothing to do with anything. That's all blah, and the Lannisters are blah. Cersei gets killed in the basement.
Yeah.
Just wrap it up, get it done.
That's pretty much what I think they were saying on set. Like, hurry up, come on. One thing that I missed was the Unsullied. You know, when they were all on the ships at the end and he goes, we've got all our men. Were they going off to that land that they mentioned? They said you guys could just start your own new life there. Or were they going somewhere else?
No, they were going to... There's the scene, I think, in episode 3 or something, or 2. Missandei and Grey Worm are having conversation and they're like, oh, we're not welcome here. Where will we go? And she's like,
yes.
We'll go to the beaches of North or something like that.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, let's go there.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I do remember that.
I don't get... None of this season seems to be connected. Like Bran warging, and then we don't know where he goes, and Bran having conversations with Tyrion by the fire, but that doesn't go anywhere. And now everyone's got all these fan theories of, like, they're already popping up of like, Bran was in Tyrion's head and he's telling Tyrion in prison that no. It's a great story. It's like, no, you shouldn't have to fill in that many holes for the writers.
Of course, yeah, no, it's just bad. Like, we've seen 6 seasons, 1.5 hours each kind of thing. It's just bad writing, bad storytelling. It's like every episode we were trying to think of something better, or maybe this is going to happen, but it never did. And it's just like, you can't make up for it either. So it's like we say, and you said it earlier, it's like there's no feels. You can get away with anything if it feels good. Exactly. Yeah, if you get that feel.
When Dany's dead after that, like I said, I was dead inside. I'm like, okay, great, whatever.
And the
Jon's in prison crying. Here's the thing: did you like the fact that Jon went to the Night's Watch? Like they told Grey Worm, yeah, he's gone to the Night's Watch. He's gonna do such and such, and Grey Worm's just such an idiot. He didn't remember that there was no Night's Watch anymore.
Yeah, you think it would be destroyed as well from the Night King, but
it is destroyed. It was destroyed at the end of season 6.
Yeah, because the whole friggin' thing went down, didn't it? So
yeah. Like who are those 2 poor bastards that survived to take Jon away?
Oh yeah.
Like everybody gets killed. It's like everybody got killed at the Night's Watch at Castle Black, and then at that other fort up the road. They're all dead.
Yeah.
So there's no wall. There's no castle.
There's a massive
Clearly, they're just sending Jon
hole,
off.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just sending Jon off to do it.
And then
I will say I saw Endgame again this week. It was very good.
You saw what? Sorry.
I watched Endgame again this week.
Oh, of course, yeah. You know, got to get Endgame.
Have you heard of it?
Got to get that into this podcast.
Yeah, it's a small movie. I think it's pronounced like that. It might be pronounced Endagame. It's a Japanese movie. It's very good, Al. I suggest you go see it.
I'll give it a go.
They did a lot with a small budget. It's real good.
The other thing I was just wanted to mention was Bran. He said, like, he kind of teased that he was going to warg into the dragon, didn't he? He was like, I'll try and find him. It's like, fuck off. You only do crows.
Yeah. And even then, you don't do it for any reason.
Yeah. You just, yeah.
It's all of it kind of just feels blah. And either that's because we've been broken by the first few episodes, or we're just at the point of, you guys have got nothing to show us of any value.
Well, the funny thing is, I think if you listen to our, even if you were to listen to the first 5 minutes of each episode that we reviewed, you can see episode 1, we were like, I don't know what's happening, but okay. And then episode 2, we're like, this is strange. It's a little bit slow kind of thing. Episode 3, we were like, this was supposed to be great, but it wasn't. And then that's where you start swearing in that episode. And then episode 4,
trying real hard.
Episode 4, you're broken. Lots of swearing. Your voice, the decibels have raised. I'm like unsure of things. Episode 5, we're both swearing. And then this one, we're just upset. We're more quiet. It's just like, oh shit, it's over. But thank God it's over as well. Like I wouldn't want to see anymore. To be honest, I'm good with the 6.
No,
but
now we get to look forward to the writers making Star Wars.
Oh yeah,
which is fine because I don't give a shit. I don't care about Star Wars either. If we're going to get into that, Star Wars have shit the bed too.
Yep. They need to leave Star Wars for a bit as well. Like they're just milking that. So,
if I can say, one of the reasons that people get more upset about Game of Thrones going the way it's gone was, like you mentioned earlier, this wasn't like a regular show. This is a show where people get killed and they take risks and they have a bigger story to tell, and they're going to go, you know what? We're not going to just please the fans by giving the fans what they want. And George Martin's obviously the whole push for that of like, I'm telling the story I want to tell. And even if you know what the ending is, even if you guess what the ending is going to be, I still want to tell this story the way I want to tell it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that doesn't happen in season 7 or 8. 7 and 8, it's like, what would the fans like to see? Would they like this? What about this? Oh, we're going to screw the fans over, and Daenerys kills everybody, and Jon and all the Starks get to go off into the sunset. And it's like, why? How does that make anyone happy?
Do you know if they filmed multiple endings? I know they did it for sure with Endgame, and I thought I heard they did it with this as well.
I heard they filmed different endings just because if something leaks, there'd be like 3 different versions of it, so you couldn't tell which was the...
Okay.
This is like the worst rated episode it's ever had, by the way.
Oh god, that's awful. And it's most tuned in, like everyone, like most viewed as well.
Yeah, like the episode ratings on, I think the whole show is like, on IMDb is like 9 out of 10. It's like one super high rating for like 8 seasons. That's great return.
Yeah.
Average show is like rated about 8 stars or whatever. This though is hitting close to 4 stars now.
Right. That is fucking
I can't disagree with it.
No.
I know there's a lot of people like, oh, they didn't give me what I wanted. This isn't the show ending that I wanted. It goes back to what we always say, because we're repetitive and we have nothing new. It just has to feel good. I don't care if Cersei comes back from the dead with Jaime and they're ruling as zombies. I don't care. As long as it felt good, it feels cathartic, and you're just like, yes, that's good. That's a good emotion for me to have.
Yeah.
You don't have to give me what I want. You just have to give me something that feels authentic and genuine to what the story is that you've been telling.
Fuckers didn't do it.
Here's a great example. The Red Wedding. The Red Wedding is set up as if Robb Stark is the Wolf of the North. He's been destroying the Lannisters. He's just like fucking bee's knees. And his mum's there, and he's pregnant, and there's a new baby on the way, and the Stark line is strong. And you're kind of like, yes, take that, Lannisters. And it's built up. And then, obviously, spoilers, they all get killed. They stab a baby in the head. It's horrible, and it's awful, and it's completely understandable. And it feels right.
Of course.
It's not what I want to happen, but I know that this is authentic to the story you've been telling, and all the pieces were in place, and when it happens you're horrified and you're just feel terrible, and you don't feel good at the end of that episode, and it goes to black, and you're just like, ugh, but you're not complaining.
Yeah. Well, that's
it's not a negative emotion.
Yeah. Those are the moments that we were talking about with that they've had throughout the whole season, even the end of season 1 with Ned Stark. Shocking moments, but ones that stay with you. But I think ever since, well, season 7 did have them, but literally season 8 didn't have really any of those. Like, I know, sure, Dany died and a few people died, but just the way that was told was not just didn't stick with you at all. And we've said it again and again, but they blatantly are not up to the task of episodes 1 to 7. Season 1 to 7. So yeah, they're just super lacking. Like every there's not one super memorable moment in this season which I'll always remember. Like even in the last one with the dragon, with the Night King taking the dragon down, I remember that one being, oh, that's fucking epic. It was all over the web after. I mean, there's so many. Like the big one for me, Jaime losing his hand. That was in my head for like a week. Him just losing his hand and in his face, and I think that was at the end of one of the seasons as well. So you had to wait like a year to see what was going to happen. But dude getting his face fucking smashed in. That was another big one.
Yes.
Shocking moment, obviously. Still, definitely lots of feels, but Tyrion killing his whore, but also killing his dad. So many great moments. And this season, the last season, really didn't have too many, if any of those. Like, it had deaths, but they did not stick at all. In fact, I can't even remember them.
Yeah. So, I would say that the moment with Daenerys burning everybody was supposed to be that moment, but it just became a special effects fest.
Yeah, it did.
Because it doesn't feel like all those other moments you mentioned. There's a feel behind it. There's this reaction of like, holy no, what? Come on. Oh my, oh great. Which is this? It's just like, huh?
Yeah. That it's the visuals got the better of it, but I think that's what they were doing that anyway. That's what they were their mission was, to make it visually look good, and then after they were like, actually, what are we actually doing in this scene? Oh, she's burning everyone. Sure.
Here you go. Yeah. Here's your frickin' dragons. You want dragons? I'll give you dragons. As many dragons as you could get.
Yeah.
It's like, God damn it, stop Hollywoodizing it.
And probably,
here's something real quick that I jumped on. Someone made the comment, what's the name? Shadowcat.
I was supposed to remind you.
Yeah, that's true. So you screwed up on that. But I remembered anyway, because you were mentioning how the writing was subpar. Shadowcat went off and did a bit of research, because me and you were just busting into the writing, being like, oh, D&D screwed up on this.
Right.
D&D are credited as writers. So that's Benioff and Weiss. Everybody knows. If you look at season 8, there's 2 new writers that are listed. They're listed as staff writers. So a staff writer, for anyone who doesn't know, is in the writing room. There's a big whiteboard. You got your major writers, and then everybody else is around a table, and they all throw ideas out, blah, blah, blah. And then you put it on the board and you write the script. Staff writers are like the first stage of writing. Like, that's your first job, is to sit in the room and just kind of like throw out ideas, and eventually they'll give you a script to write.
Okay.
So there's 2 staff writers on season 8, and then there's the 2 main guys, and that's it. So there's 4 people wrote this entire season. Those 2 people that are staff writers apparently were given some of the scripts to write, if not the majority of them.
Really?
So the 2 major guys that we've been blaming kind of walked in maybe and just had the whiteboard and said, all right, we have to do this, this, and this, and this. Can you just write a script up for that?
Right.
Which isn't bad. People have staff writers all the time. Everybody's got them. Except these 2, this is their first TV show. So these 2 people were, for the last 5 years, the personal assistants of Benioff and Weiss.
Right.
And now, like that, again, I don't have a problem with that. You work your way up. But they're basically interns.
Yeah.
In the writing world. And they were given a staff writer position and possibly script writing positions for the final season of the biggest show in history.
What the heck? That's dodgy.
So it's just like you look at that and then you see that the Benioff and Weiss have been off doing their contract deals with Disney, getting the Disney trilogy to do Star Wars, and you're just like, did you guys farm out the final season's major script writing to these guys? And even if you didn't, why are these two on the damn staff for the final season?
Odd. That's going to come out the woodwork. If that is 100% true, I think we're going to hear more about that. So,
like, you can see it on IMDb. Their names are listed there. I'm not going after them. I'm not saying that they're bad writers off the top. We don't know how much they had involvement in it. But why is there only 4 people listed? Like, George Martin's always listed as based on. But the 4 people who were there, you've got the 2 guys who are the main writers, and then you've got 2 people who've never done anything close to this big before. And they went from intern to staff writer on the final season of the show. For me, Shadowcat found this, sent a comment on our YouTubes. Everyone else, send your comments below. Good stuff, guys. And I'm just reading it. I was like, I'm going to look this up. And I looked it up, and I'm like, son of a... It's true. It's on there. That's the way it is. I'm not going out there and saying it's their fault the whole season's bad. There's a lot of factors at work. To me, it goes back to Benioff and Weiss. D&D make these choices. They hire who they hire. They're the showrunners. Everything happens because of them and their vision.
Well, they're the ones that
and for the last 2 seasons
off as well, don't they?
Yeah, and the last 2 seasons have been their vision nearly 90% of the way, based on George's blueprint for what's going to happen. And it just doesn't work. And it's just another one of those things of like, you guys really just don't seem to give a crap about this show.
Yeah. It shines through well that they fucked up. And leaving water bowls and Starbucks mugs, doesn't help.
Yeah. It's not Starbucks. I'm going to mention that. It's not a Starbucks
I keep saying
mug.
Starbucks, but I think everyone's just...
associates it,
because I know there's a few comments as well about like how Danny burnt down the Starbucks as well. just unfortunately just a crappy ending to an awesome series. But maybe the who's doing the prequel?
I have no idea.
Well,
I don't even care. Like,
I don't know.
The reason I have a problem with the prequel is that the prequel is it's a moneymaker. If it was based on a book, I could at least give it some respect. But it's like you're just making a prequel because there's money in it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, I can see.
It's not like there's the Lord of the Rings is coming to Amazon Prime, but that's based on the Silmarillion, the books that Tolkien wrote. So it's like, okay, they're just taking those books and they're going to make them like they made the movies. Yeah. That's fine. They didn't just pull it out of their arse and be like, well, we need a new show.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I haven't been as angry at this episode. I think it burnt out last episode. No pun intended.
Yeah, it's like honestly, I love what you said about Tyrion walking through the fire, and that is, I think, how we both feel, and a lot of the fans feel as well. Like, just picture that, and that's like kind of, what have you done? What has happened to our great series? So I think that's just a perfect way of putting it.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I went through I go in the comments because we give ourselves a day to think about it, and I've seen people mentioning this and tweeting this, and like some of the people who are trying to defend it, some of the things that they say to people like us or people who aren't happy with it is like so ridiculously childish. It's like, I saw a lot of people saying stuff like, oh, well, it's really hard to make a good show. So until you make a big TV series for HBO, you shouldn't say anything. It's like, what? That's just ridiculous. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
That should... I don't need to be a mechanic to know when an engine is broken.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fix it. Maybe I have some idea, but it's like, my car is broken down. I don't need to go and get a degree to figure that out.
Yeah.
When my computer is crashing, I don't need a computer science degree to know that. I don't need to be a coder. Like, that doesn't work. And then there's other people, I've seen genuinely people have said stuff like, if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. Well, that doesn't make sense. How do I know I like it until I watch it?
Of course, yeah.
And also, you don't get to just defend things because you like them. Now, I don't mind people liking this show. I don't mind people liking this season. I don't mind people liking anything. My problem has always been, if I want to ask you why you like it and you just tell me stop being a negative, stop being a hater, stop just being pissy about it, then we're done. Because part of what we try and do when we're like analyzing, and we've been talking for an hour about this damn show. The reason we do it is because we're kind of like, this doesn't work and this doesn't work because X, Y, and Z.
Sure.
It's not just a case of like, I hate this. This isn't what I grew up with, and I didn't read the books for this. It's sort of like, you know what? Maybe down the line, someone's going to be like, okay, this didn't work. That didn't work. Why didn't it work? We're not going to fix anything. Nobody's listening to us. Nobody in Hollywood gives a shit what we have to say. But I always thought, yeah, don't hate something just because you're angry about it. If you actually do care about it, which we do, you kind of look at it and you go, this is good, but it could be better. Here's what I think you could have done.
Of course. Always give reasons, always give explanations. It's like, this could have been done better. Maybe, you could have told it this way or that way. But I think when you, especially yourself, you can really, you really dive into the storytelling and the writing, and you can kind of pull up moments like, well, Tyrion did this. Why is he doing this now? And Dany just literally 24 hours ago was behaving like this. That wouldn't make sense. So at least we're kind of analyzing it, and obviously our own opinions and stuff. But we're giving, we're telling people why.
But you do the same. Like, you come at it and then you'll tell me like, this felt like this, but that, this didn't give me goosebumps, and you understand your flow of how you go into a story. And it's the same. I'll say this again. Like, we get some great comments on our videos now, and like, I think that's because we're actually putting videos out lately, regularly. And like, what I appreciate when I'm reading through our comments, and we do try and read all of them, is people don't just go on there and be like, I hate this, it's the worst show ever. Someone's definitely going to write that this time, though. People go there and they're like, this is what I would have liked to have seen. Why didn't this happen with Bran? Why didn't this happen with the Night King? Why didn't they do this? And people post these big things about, this is their fan theory. This is what they would have liked to have seen. This is why they would have liked to have seen it. So maybe we're just in a nice little, area of the internet where everyone that listens to us is at least on the same page of like, don't just hate something, and definitely don't hate somebody because they like something. And let's all just talk about how we can make it better.
Exactly.
But just when I went out of that little world and I went into the more, I guess, mainstream, bigger kind of commenting sections, and it's just like the amount of bullshit people throw at each other, and I'm like, how is this helping anybody?
They just feed
what
off
is this
each
going
other.
to do? Yeah,
they feed off each
like,
other, and some people are trolls, and we all know trolls and stuff. So they just want to cause trouble.
Yeah. So everyone, leave your comments below. Make sure you tell us that you hate the show and it's the worst thing ever, or it's the best thing you've ever seen, and everyone who doesn't agree with you should be burned by a dragon. Just let us all know that.
Burn him. Just don't touch Ghost.
Yeah.
Don't fucking touch him.
I feel bad because like right up until this episode, everyone was putting their theories down and like, this could happen, that could happen, and now it's over, and I don't think any of the
none of them
theories
would have been right. No.
None of them are right, and they were all better than what we got.
I know, that's the other thing.
Shit.
That's the other thing. I started saying to people at saying things to people at work. I was like, "Oh, did you hear about this theory or that theory?" Or someone come up to us and tell us a theory. I'm like, "If it sounds good, guys, it's not going to happen." It's like, it was basically that. The last 2 or 3 weeks have been like that. If it sounds good, it's not going to happen. I did read.
Have you put 30 seconds of thought into this? Then it's definitely not going to happen.
I did read one funny comment, and it was like, it was after episode 5, and it was, at least no elephants were harmed. It was like, there are some funny ones out there.
So yeah, leave your comments below. Let us know. Did you sign that petition? Did you want to get it remade? I don't want to get it remade. This is the way it is. We'll live with it. We might show our children one day. We might just say there's only ever been 6 seasons or 7, whatever.
Yeah. I also had an idea of if you guys want to see this as well. But maybe doing our favorite moments or something where we can recap, and we'll make it visual. Where like we can get some clips. But you know how like I was talking about Jaime's hand, or just favorite moments. Doesn't have to be like brutal scenes. But maybe we can go through like our top 3 each or something, because I feel like we're ending Game of Thrones, because this could be the last time we're talking about it, but we're ending on a bad note, and I feel like it is an awesome show, and our last video should maybe be our favorite moments, and maybe we can add in some shitty ones, but shitty ones will just be season 8 really. But we could possibly do a video like that. I think that could be quite fun.
I like that. That's a good idea. Let's
end on a good note.
Let's go back. Yeah, actually do that in your comments, guys. Tell us why you loved Game of Thrones. Why are you here watching this final season and just being like with us, listening to us slowly cry ourselves to sleep at night? Like, why are you here to see it out? And even though it's ended and it might not have ended the way you wanted, why have you been here for 8 years? What is it that kept you going? Was it a character? Was it just, like I said, the sociological examination of how the world just keeps turning and people are grinding away? And whatever it is, put in your comments below. Tell us why you liked it, and maybe just like why you think this season didn't live up to expectations, or maybe it did. I'm sure there's people listening to us who are here just to hear a different side of the argument, and they actually really like it. And if anybody's out there and they're going to attack somebody in the comments, I'll block you. I don't give a shit. I'm trying to make the world more positive, even though I'm a negative prick. Don't be pricks in the comments. Have a conversation.
Yeah. No trolls.
No trolls, yeah. And also on Al's point of us being more visual, we're aiming for, I think, October. We're going to start trying to do video podcasts.
Yeah, you'll be able to see our ugly faces, and then we'll also get, if we're talking about a particular scene, we might not be able to match it up because we want to get the videos out more often, but we'll at least put like trailers or to do with what we're talking about in the background. So you'll see some things going on, but you'll actually see us, which will be great.
Yes.
So, all right.
That's one way of putting it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So up until then, I'm trying to make new Digging Deeper videos at the moment. I'm literally editing one today, and I'm away in September, so that's why we can't do it. So October is what we're aiming for, videos and being more visual, so you don't just have to listen to us. And Al knows all the things about Spotify and iTunes. I don't know if we're on there yet or not. I don't care.
It's coming through.
All right, cool.
Okay, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in.
That was a long one.
This is the last Game of Thrones, but like we'll if there's demand and stuff, and if we feel like doing it, we'll do like a little our favorite video, because we'll end Game of Thrones on a better note. I kind of want to. But,
yes.
Yep.
A little bit of positivity.
Yeah. Let us know what you think, and thanks for tuning in and commenting as always.
Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome.
All right. See ya.
Boy.
Boom.